Hi everybody, today I'm scrapping a photo of one of my favorite views. I'm looking at some Amy Tangerine papers here, and I'm looking at using that lighter sort of teal for a background with that floral, but my photo's getting lost. So I flip it over and I find that dot. That floral paper is the back side of that dot. I'm also looking at a heart paper that just didn't work. That teal dot and floral is from Amy Tangerine Finders Keepers, and it's called Expedition. Then after I looked at a couple of other pieces of paper, I found that pink background, which I absolutely love. It's bright pink. That is from Amy Tangerine Rise and Shine, and the paper name is Lily on that one. And I was just showing you there that I write a title idea, perhaps, but definitely a date on the back of my photographs so that I don't scrap chronologically. I don't lose the dates of the photograph or have to go try to find them in my photo files. Not that that's that hard, but it's just easier if I don't have to do it. So I'm looking at trying to figure out how I want that floral paper to go, and I'm going to struggle with this for a little bit. It was just too busy with that background. So looking again at the layout here, that Always journaling card is from Amy Tangerine Rise and Shine. It's emery, and it is a cut apart. I'm just going through and I'm cutting off some of that blue paper there. That is also from Amy Tangerine. It's Finders Keepers Treasure, and I love that blue color in that Finders Keepers collection. I'm so glad that in her new collection she has that royal blue as well. It's just really gorgeous, and it's a color we haven't seen a lot of in scrapbooking. Now, one of the things I'm trying to do is there's a little banner to the right, and that pre-printed, the little paisleys or whatever they are, and I'm trying to incorporate that, but not cover up too much of that design, but not have it so weighted towards the bottom. So what I did there is I just glued, I was having problems keeping things sort of together, so I just glued the papers together. What I decided to do here was to ink the paper, and I'm using an old pad Jenny Bolin fountain pen that's no longer sold, but it's still really juicy, and that's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old at least. I'm cutting up a little more of that paper off the side there. I wanted a little bit showing around the photo, not a ton. And I'm just trying to decide how much of that I want to reveal. I'm intending to cut some of that, more of that blue paper off. As I'm doing this, however, I'm still struggling because I'm thinking it's too busy. There's something I just don't like about that. I love that floral paper, but it's just too busy. And so I decide here to take the floral paper out and just use the blue. And I'm much, much happier with that. Now, I still do want to use that floral paper if I can somehow, and I'm just playing here again with the layers. They're not exactly equal, so I'm just playing with that and inking that last paper again. That's going to help it stand out against the very busy background, help the layers stand out. I tried something from Stitched there, that little label. It's actually from a cut apart, and decided that's not going to work. Try the floral paper behind the blue paper, don't like that. Now what I'm doing here is I'm feeling like it's really flat, so I'm going to all of my Amy Tangerine die cuts, and I keep those in little 4x6 photo sleeve holders from Copper Hopper. I use the small ones, or the thinner ones that are meant for the actual photos, for lots of my die cuts, but then when a collection is new and I have a lot of them, or if they're thick, I'll put them in the big envelope that holds 4 of those smaller ones, and I just keep them in a basket. Someday I'll have to do a craft room tour for you so that you can see how I store things. I really do actually like my storage. I've kept things this way for quite a few years and really enjoy it. It makes it easy to find things, and it makes it easy to thumb through things to find things. So I'm inking my journaling card, and it was too big there. I missed that. It was a little bit too big. So what I decided to do is I cut the polka dots off on the outside of that journaling card, and it it works out perfectly. So now I'm going back and I'm taking the floral from the Expedition paper and I'm just going to put a strip of it at the top because that's helping with the weight a little bit more. And then I decide, oh wait, perfect. I love the floral paper behind the Always Journaling block because I love it so much. I wanted it to at least peek out a little bit. So happy to be able to do that. Kind of looking here, I'm going to cut more of that off and then I'll ink those edges again so that can stand out. And I'm repositioning it because it wasn't quite right there. And the reason I have that always is this is a photo of, as I said, I believe I said, it's my favorite view. So it's always my favorite. I take photos of it most of the times when I'm up there. My friends are very generous in sharing their place with me, so I'm up there 3, sometimes even 4 times a year. But it's just beautiful. It's so relaxing. It's my happy place. Now I decided to add a little bit of that blue there because I thought it needed just a little bit more weight up at the top, and I wanted to bring the dark up because there's the dark on the right side with all those little florally things. Again, I'm still looking for embellishments. So I pulled out these bags from Paper Studio. They're not going to make it on the layout. And then I disturbed everything at the top. I wasn't very happy with that. Just a little bit of more info about this layout. I'm doing for the month of February what's called Layout a Day or Load at layoutaday.com. There's a prompt every day and then we make a layout every day for the entire month of February, which sounds crazy, but you can do it. Even I work crazy hours Monday through Wednesday, where I work 12 and 13-hour days all the time. But what I do is I have about an hour and a half lunch, and I scrapbook on my lunch a lot of times because it makes it work. So I'm still looking for embellishments, and I have this piece of paper from Amy Tangerine Stitched. I thought I might try to bring some yellow up. There is yellow appearing in that floral strip at the top, and it's kind of only there. So I was playing a little bit with trying to figure out how to do that. It's too light and a little bit too sketchy for this layout, and eventually that is not going to make it on, but I will try another one too just to make it. And it's not feeling right to me, so I put aside that label also. And again, that label was from Stitched. So now I try one that's kind of in teal with a little gray heart to see if I can make that work, but I just don't love it. And now that one of the things is sometimes when you look back at things when you're doing the narration, you think, oh, you could have left that. I actually still didn't like it, so I'm glad I didn't. That piece was way too big. And I knew it was, but I was grasping at that point. I just kept thinking, it has to be bigger, it has to be bigger. That teal piece there is kind of cute, and it says something about happiness is homemade, but there's nothing homemade on this layout. And I kind of liked the circle there, but since there's nothing homemade, I decided, that's not good either. Like I said, I'm going through all of my die cuts here. These are really old. I don't remember off the top of my head what collection they're from. I think they're from maybe even her second collection, but quite a few collections ago. You can see when I'm working to, sometimes I've got my Tim Holtz inker there, and sometimes I'll keep my pad in the block there, so you can see it's black, but right now I have it on the stamp pad. Everything there was just too big. The camera was too big. I tried a little white. No, that was too big. So then I want to stamp on my layouts more. I don't own a boatload of stamps or a ton of stamps, but I do own stamps, and I almost never use them. So I pulled out some little phrases. I watched Shamel Lane do that all the time. So I decided I was going to try to scrapbook some phrases on this because I knew it would be a fairly simple layout with, quote, white space. And the background actually would be fairly easy to be able to read phrases. A lot of times I have a lot of pattern in my backgrounds, which makes that a little bit harder to read those phrases. So I'm going to just ink up those top papers up there. And I stuck my piece of paper to my desk. Had to go back and I almost ripped it completely. Now I had more. There's my lovely morning hair. I almost had to go back and do another strip, but it actually worked out okay. That was the second time I glued a piece of paper to my desk during this layout. I don't normally do that, so I don't know what the problem is. Here I decided that blue piece of paper was way too straight, so I just, I made it a little bit more uneven so that it didn't look so weird compared to the other line above, even though everything else on the layout is quite straight. And now I'm trying to kind of look at it and get a feeling for what everything looks like, and that white's bothering me. So I decided to take my little Cricut spatula to take it off my desk. I was thinking about maybe putting that pink down there, but it covered that floral paper that I struggled so hard to use, and it just didn't look great. Before I use my stamps, actually, I'm going to do my titles. So I decided I want to call this Sigh, because it's almost, when I look out that window at that beautiful view, I sigh almost every time. It's my happy place. I decided I wanted to do a black title, which is not going to end up working out. I'm going to struggle quite a bit trying to find letters to use. I thought I had the letters for Sigh with this, and then I realized I didn't have a G eventually. And then these letters were just a pain. They were sticking all over each other, and they were just a mess. It's a very old Thickers alphabet. I actually threw that away after I was done. It was just frustrating me, so I deep sixed or threw away 2 black alphabets today that are very old, almost from when I first started scrapbooking, where I didn't have very many letters left. And I thought, you know, I've used most of these. Let's just get them out and get moving. Sometimes I will donate alphabets I'm sick of to my sister-in-law, who is a teacher. Now this is one of my favorite alphabets right now. It's the doll alphabet. It's older, but I just found it, I don't even remember, I found it at like a clearance website somewhere. So I thought I was going to use this, but I didn't think it was big enough. And now I'm looking at it, it really is not. And I thought the black was a little distracting. It's so heavy, even compared to the black on the bottom. So it's not big enough, and it's too dark. So now I'm going to, and originally I wanted like a cursive font. So now I go to my royal blue, and this alphabet I think is called Freedom. It was from a Pebbles collection a few years ago. But as I look, it's too small and narrow. So I go back to the doll in caps to see if I can make that work. And I'm going to play around with this for a while. But it was very blocky. A lot of this layout is very blocky. In the end, it still is, but I do something I think that makes it a little bit less, I don't know about blocky, but so I look and decide, well, I decide to do 3 dots afterwards, like Sigh kind of a thing. But again, it's bothering me, it's too dark. So then I go to my Thickers again, and like I said, I have to do a room tour so you can see how I store those. I store them in baskets. And I think, well, I could do some sort of aqua. This is a Dear Lizzie alphabet, but it's very dark. It's much, much darker than the shades of aqua that are on there. I look at a couple others. They're too thin, too small. It was like a 3 Little Bears. Nothing was just right. Then I remember this font. This is an Amy Tangerine font, I believe called, I believe it is Amy Tangerine. It's called Goodness. And there were a couple of different colors of this. This one is an aqua one, but it has 3 different colors of aqua. And I decided, oh wait, I could use that middle color. That matches the other colors much better. It's not too distracting, it's not too light. And then I decide to make the title be I Sigh, because at that point then it seems to just, it's a little bit longer, so it feels a little bit more balanced. The letters don't stick very well, so I'm using my fine line bottle, and I have the Scotch Quick Dry in there. If you're having problems with your Quick Dry coming out of the narrower nozzle, because I think the blue one is narrower, put just a little bit of water in there, and just, you know, a couple drops at it, well, a little tiny bit at a time until you get the right consistency. I had to do it, and I haven't had any problems with that adhesive since. So that's a really good tip I saw somewhere after I was having problems with it. I love that fine line bottle. It's so perfect for getting things down. And now I put the other one on, the other glue on the letters as I was doing it, but with the little periods that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put it on the paper because they're so small and tiny. And that just made it a little bit easier on me. So I'm getting that done, liking everything a little bit better. And now I decide I really need to do something to take up a little bit of the white space and to just fill in around the layout, because I really don't have very many embellishments on the layout. If you've seen any of my layouts, I tend to cluster and use more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a set of Heidi Swap stamps, and this one says Happy Day. It's from the Becky Higgins Project Life collection. It's called Cherish is the name of the collection. I got this at Michael's a few years ago. I think it said 2014 on it. I don't know what I was doing there. I was thinking I was going to put the ink on with my Ranger applicator. I'm not quite sure why I thought that, but anyway. I also did prep my stamp there because I couldn't remember if I'd used that Happy Day stamp or not. I used an eraser. Actually, I'm doing it now. I'm using an eraser so that I can get a good image the first time. That'll help you if your stamps are looking really blotchy. So I'm going to do a test on just a plain piece of paper. And I like that, so I'm going to stamp Happy Day in 3 different places on the layout. And it's just helping bring that photo and journaling cluster out a little bit onto the paper. It's another layer into the background, even though it's not hiding. So there's the Happy Day stamps. Then I pulled out this Heidi Swap Memory Planner set of stamps from Hello Beautiful, and they're the circle icons, and I have a heart there. That ended up like being the perfect little touch, that little heart did. I bought that set just for that heart because I thought it was the perfect size for things like this, even though I don't usually use it. But I really love how this turned out. Unfortunately, when I stamped that, I had ink on the edge of the circle. I wasn't watching, and you can see it on the layout, but I thought, well, what am I going to do? I didn't think I had another one of those, but I thought I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm not going to redo this whole layout. The always is perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes. So I'm going back through my paper pad from that collection, from the stitched collection, to see if I can find that paper again. And I figured out why I couldn't find it. I believe it's actually, the always is actually from Rise and Shine, not stitched. So that's why I didn't have another piece of that paper. So then I'm going to do my journaling and just talk about how this is one of my favorite places on earth. And since the load prompt today was all about geography, that was the prompt today, so this is a geographic place. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't know that I finished talking about load. Sorry about that. I think I got interrupted. It's a great way to get yourself scrapbooking, and I just am so inspired. I usually scrap not just one layout a day, but on weekends I usually do a lot more than that if I have time. Just adding the date. The stills are coming up with a few detail shots. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day.